son, you could do or be anything, that in essence was the generational transfer of a dream, which is a big part of what I'm doing in the high schools and middle schools all across this country right now, giving our young people permission to dream. It's very important to say what my mother did not say. She did not say that you could have anything. She did not say that you could buy anything. She did not say that you are guaranteed, assured, owed, or entitled to anything. She said that you could do or be anything. And for me, man, that was an even bigger statement. Because if you could do or be anything, all this other stuff will come. My mother saying to me every day, son, you could do or be anything, that in essence was the generational transfer of a dream. And I've often wondered, how does she know to say these things to me? My mom was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, raised deep in the heart of Louisiana, the daughter of a sharecropper. 1930s, 1940s, those were not the good old days by any stretch of the imagination. How does she know to say these things to me? Mom saying to me, son, you could do or be anything. Apparently, I took it too far. I made up my mind. My first ambition in life, I was going to become that guy, Miles Davis. Mama said I could be anybody. I chose Miles. I studied music theory. I played trumpet for 9 years. I got pretty good. And when I say I wanted to become Miles Davis, man, I had it bad. I had it so bad, people would ask me as a little boy, what are you going to be when you grow up? Man, I had it so bad, I started talking like Miles, and I tell them, I'm going to be Miles Davis. Thank God again, Mama heard me say something one time. Mama heard me say it one time, and she said, son, we need to talk. We sat down at the kitchen table. Now, I don't know how this worked at your house, but at our house, when you got called to the kitchen table and it was not supper time, that was not good news. That was kind of like going to court. A ruling was about to come down. We sit down at the kitchen table and my mother says to me with all the love that only a mother has, son, you're pretty good with that thing, but you can't be Miles Davis. There's only one, and he's got that job. Now, when your mama puts it to you like that, you got to feel that. And I had to look at the facts. The facts were, at 18 years of age, Miles Davis was in New York City playing with Quincy Jones and Dizzy Gillespie. At the same age, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, playing with some boys named Pookie and Ray Ray. Hey, we were good, but it wasn't going to happen. But about this time in my life as a young man, I heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak one night. As a matter of fact, it was the last speech he ever gave in his life. He was assassinated the very next day. He was speaking to a group of municipal employees, garbage men down in Memphis, Tennessee. And his message to those men that night was, whatever you're going to do with your life, you should seek to become the best at it. I believe his exact words were, if you're going to be a garbage man, you should seek to become the best garbage man and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. And right there, I made the second most important decision that I ever made in my life. That decision was, I'm going to become world-class at whatever I do with my life. Not good at it, not pretty good at it, but world-class at it. And let's define world-class and keep it simple. Who is the best in the business? Somebody ought to say your name. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name, then you've got work to do. But the ultimate validation in that scenario, when that question comes up, who's the best in the business, the ultimate validation is when someone who does not like you says your name. When the people who would not take your phone calls are now hoping that you'll return their calls. When the folks who would not hire you yesterday cannot afford you today. That's when you'll know. You know when I knew? I don't. But I'm working on it every single day. I am grinding every single day. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, But I did see this one clip that puts into perspective what world class could look like. Whatever your trade, your craft, your job, position is, this is what world class could look like. Check this out. That's what world class could look like. And every time I see that clip, I keep waiting for the helicopter pilot to miss that shot. He makes it every single time. I do some additional research, I find out the helicopter pilot, that was not a he, that was a she. One of the questions that I'm frequently asked by people all over the world is, why do you wear 2 watches? That's a long story for another time. Some people might look at this one and say, that's expensive. But this one right here, this one is priceless. This one was hers. The hardest pivot that I ever had to make in my life was losing the love of my life to brain cancer. Holly and I had been together for 20 years. I now know the greatest honor that I ever got in my life was I got the honor of being the primary caregiver for her, and we fought brain cancer for the last 4 years of her life. Some kind of a way, the tumor in Holly's brain had begun to strangle her optic nerves, taking away her vision to the point that she could only see exactly 1/2 of what she was directly looking at. But some kind of a way, she could see the white numbers on the black face of this watch. She picked it out. I gave it to her on Christmas Day. She opens the box and she says with a sense of amazement, wow, it's got atomic time. And I was like, atomic time? Let me see that watch. I take one look at the watch and said, girl, that says automatic time, not atomic. We laughed like we both hadn't laughed in years, but that's where we were then, and that's where we all are now. It is atomic time. We were and we are right now engaged in a passionate pursuit to the nth degree. Holly and I were blessed with the assets, the reach and the resources to bring to the table the best minds in science and medicine. I brought all the king's horses and all the king's men because, again, it was atomic time. And that's what time it is for us all in America right now. It is atomic time. Some of us, we're all fighting to protect our health. We're fighting to protect our families. Some of us are fighting to protect our businesses and livelihoods. Some of us are fighting to protect our dreams. It's atomic time. If you don't remember anything else that I've said here today, I want to share this one last thing with you. There's a scene in the film, The Pursuit of Happyness, that was not originally written the way that you ultimately saw it on the screen. In the original screenplay on that basketball court, when that little boy throws up that ball and says, I'm going pro, the father says, forget it. That'll never happen. I was no good at it, so that means that you can't do it. I waited until we were going to film that scene that day, and I went up to Will Smith and I said, you can't tell that to that little boy. because that's not what my mother told me. We had a very intense discussion. Me, Will Smith, our director, and one of the producers. The producer's position was the father's got to keep it real with the kid. My position was, man, you live in Hollywood. What do you know about keeping it real? After 30 minutes, it was Will Smith who says, you know what? Chris is right, because my mother told me the same thing. We tore up the original script, and this was the result.
Hey. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right?
All right.
You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period. Let's go.
Since that day, I've had parents from all over the world tell me, I tell my little boy, I tell my little girl every day, don't ever let somebody else tell you what you can't do. But right now, I'm telling you, those words, those are not just words that you say to a child. Sometimes you got to say those words to the man or the woman looking at you in the mirror. And if you don't remember anything else I've said here today, remember this. Don't ever let somebody else tell you what you can't do. If you got a dream, you got to protect it. And if you want something, go get it. Period. Peace, power, and prayers.